Mystery 8 Blind Frog Ranch. The desert air stirred with unease as the sun climbed behind the mesa, casting long, slashing shadows across Blind Frog Ranch. The land held its breath. Beneath layers of sandstone and secrets, something ancient stirred. Something that had waited centuries to be found. Morning broke with a dry wind, whipping dust across the compound. The team had gathered early, pulled by an inexplicable urgency. The previous episode's discovery, a carved obsidian shard etched with what appeared to be pre-Columbian glyphs, had sent a jolt through the investigation. It was out of place, out of time, and oddly warm to the touch. Now, the focus turned to the mouth of cave, 7 sealed for weeks due to unstable rock. The team had finally reinforced the tunnel with steel bracing and begun excavation. The deeper they ventured, the stranger the geology became. Smooth walls, melting patterns in solid stone, scorch marks that couldn't be explained by any modern tool. As the cameras followed, the team pushed deeper. Lights flickered. Batteries drained faster than usual. Static crept into communications. Something was interfering. But they pressed on, driven by the whisper of something just beyond reach. It was near the end of the shaft that the discovery was made. The lead investigator crouched low, brushing aside centuries of dust beneath. It lay a rectangular stone slab, about 6 feet long, raised on 4 carved supports. The surface was concave, stained with something dark. Not paint, not rust. A reddish-black residue, caked into the grain of the stone, refusing to fade even under the scrutiny of UV light. The cameras zoomed in. Symbols encircled the slab. Stylized animals, spirals, and jagged lines radiating outward like rays. One symbol stood out. A humanoid figure with outstretched arms, flanked by serpents, its chest split by a single vertical line. It was unmistakably a place of sacrifice. The atmosphere changed. Above ground, weather shifted violently. Clouds gathered where the sky had been clear. Barometric pressure plummeted. Birds ceased their calls. A silence fell so heavy it rang in the ears. In the cave, ground-penetrating radar revealed something chilling beneath the slab. A void. A chamber. Roughly spherical. Approximately 15 feet beneath the surface. The void pulsed on the radar screen like a heartbeat. Later that day, core samples were taken. The drill met resistance, then broke through into open air. A low hiss escaped the borehole, like something exhaling after centuries. When the probe camera descended, it captured glimpses. Bones, dozens of them. Skulls in a circle. A central pillar wrapped in copper wire, ancient, yet untouched by corrosion. What was this place? Back at the command trailer, the team pored over historical records. Spanish expedition logs hinted at a temple of offerings guarded by native tribes. Local Ute legends spoke of a forbidden place in the earth where the sky gods demanded tribute. Several maps had a black mark over this precise location, a place marked not for treasure but warning. The slab was untouched for days as the team debated ethics, risk, and superstition. Finally, excavation resumed. On the 3rd night after the find, infrared cameras caught movement. A figure, tall, gaunt, fast, skirting the perimeter of the dig site at 2:13 a.m. No footprints were found. Fencing hadn't been disturbed. But claw marks had appeared in the sand. 4-toed, deep. As if pressed in by something heavy, then lifted with care. The team grew uneasy. Electronics began to fail more frequently. A drone sent into the cave crashed inexplicably, despite clear signals. The feed, before it cut out, showed a brief flash of something metallic in the void. Not copper, not gold. Something glowing faintly blue. By episode's midpoint, tension escalated. The team decided to remove the slab. A rig was assembled. Ropes, pulleys, sensors. As the altar was lifted, the cameras caught something strange. The air above the void shimmered, heatwave-like, despite the cave's chill. Instruments spiked. Radiation levels, normal minutes ago, shot into the red. Beneath the slab, the void was no longer empty. There was a construct, stone, perfectly round, like a sphere cut in half and embedded in the floor. Etchings lined its surface, geometrical patterns that spun optical illusions under flashlight. At the center, a socket. Empty. Waiting. One team member retrieved the obsidian shard. It fit perfectly. The moment it clicked in, a low vibration thrummed through the cavern. Dust fell from the ceiling. Cameras glitched. Lights dimmed. Then a pulse, a low, resonating tone, echoed from the stone, vibrating into the bones of everyone present. Above ground, the storm broke. Lightning flashed unnaturally green. Thunder rolled in rhythmic patterns. Horses bolted from their pens. A tremor split the earth near the creek, exposing a new crevice lined in the chamber. Back in the cave, the artifact refused to release the shard. Thermal imaging revealed something terrifying. A humanoid heat signature in the shadows. It stood motionless, then vanished. No one had entered. No one had left. The remainder of the episode, the team worked to seal the chamber again. Protective measures were taken. The altar was relowered. Salt lines were drawn. Cameras were left running overnight. On playback the next morning, the footage showed hours of nothing. Then, at 3:06 a.m., the altar glowed faintly red. A mist rose from the cracks. Symbols relit for just 30 seconds. Then darkness. The episode closed with an aerial shot of the ranch under the gray sky, clouds circling a central point above the cave. A raven flew past, then spiraled down, crashing into the ground dead. A final text card faded onto the screen. What was opened cannot be easily closed. A dense fog rolled across the Uinta Basin at first light, muffling the edges of the landscape and turning the familiar ranch into a shadowed maze of shapes and whispers. The chill of dawn hung thick in the air as the team gathered, silent and focused, their eyes drawn to the jagged outline of the canyon wall where the strange symbols were found the day before. Fresh evidence had surfaced, a newly exposed rock slab, embedded in the base of the gulch, unlike anything else in the region. Its surface was smooth, almost polished, and stained with a deep rust hue that seemed too deliberate to be natural. Weather-worn etchings ran along the edge of the slab, ancient and indecipherable. The team had dubbed it the Sacrificial altar. As the sun crested the ridge, beams of light sliced through the mist, illuminating the slab in stark contrast. A trail of scorch marks extended several feet from its edge, forming a crescent. Instruments picked up residual heat in the rock, though there had been no fire, no lightning, no source of combustion. The Geiger counter chirped faintly. The crew moved in cautiously. One of the researchers swept a magnetometer across the slab. It pulsed erratically, spiking near the carvings, then falling silent near the center, where a slight indentation suggested something once rested there. Perhaps something had been removed, or taken. A drone ascended above the site, scanning the surrounding cliffs. As the drone passed a weathered rock outcrop, the image feed glitched briefly, just a stutter, but enough to warrant attention. When reviewed, the footage revealed a perfect circular depression atop the outcrop, identical in size to the altar below. The two features aligned almost too precisely, as if part of a designed mechanism. Later that day, a ground-penetrating radar sweep of the area revealed an anomaly beneath the altar, a void. Roughly 8 feet below the surface, the cavity spanned 20 feet across. The team prepared a borehole to send a camera down. The soil around the altar was harder than expected, compacted with unnatural density, as though something below was resisting. As the altar churned into the earth, another team member hiked to the opposite ridge to triangulate the alignment of the two features. There, hidden beneath a pile of brush, was a partially buried metallic object, smooth, domed, and humming faintly, just outside audible range. The object was unearthed and analyzed. It was not magnetic, nor did it register any familiar electromagnetic patterns. But when brought within 30 feet of the altar, instruments reacted. Readings skewed, compasses spun, and cell signals dropped. Nightfall descended quickly, as it often did on the ranch. The team gathered to review footage from the borehole camera. The feed descended through solid earth, then flickered as it hit the cavity. What they saw was unsettling. Bones, hundreds of them, animal, and possibly human, arranged in concentric circles. In the center, a stone idol, humanoid in shape but lacking facial features, sat cross-legged on a platform. It had been wrapped in decaying cloth. Around it, the walls of the chamber bore similar markings to those on the altar above, geometric, repetitive, and disturbingly precise. A faint, rhythmic knocking was captured on the mic, though no one had been moving at the time. The team descended into debate and documentation. The cave was too unstable to enter yet, but plans began for shoring the borehole and lowering a remote arm for retrieval. Samples of the air in the cavity were taken. They contained an unknown compound, organic but non-terrestrial in makeup. One researcher noted it resembled trace elements found in meteorite impact.